Avi Issacharoff is a Middle East analyst for the Times of Israel and joins me now live from Tel Aviv. Avi, there's been tributes paid, not least from his successor and other leaders within Israel, but from across the world as well, testaments to his tenacity, his determination in public life. You knew him. What was Shimon Peres, the man, like?
Well, I knew him on the professional level, of course, not too close personally, but as a journalist who's covering politicians. I must say that what was interesting about Shimon Peres was that he was interested on everything, meaning he wanted to know the really small details about everything that he was dealing with, especially my field, meaning the Middle East. He wanted to know a lot about the Palestinians, about the internal politics between Hamas and Fatah and what's going on Fatah, and etc., etc. He had a tremendous hunger for details and for information. And I think that this is what makes him so special, because, you know, you get to meet during your career with so many politicians, different politicians. Most of them, I would say 95% of them will say, I know better, I know everything. While Shimon Peres wasn't like that. He wanted to know and to learn from others.
He obviously then had a very active role in public life, really up until just a couple of weeks ago, when, of course, he suffered that major stroke. When we look forward now in Israeli politics, who, if anyone, is there currently in the Knesset who can pick up the mantle and deliver his vision?
The closest one would be his successor, meaning Reuven Rivlin, but even Reuven Rivlin is not really into the peace process of the two-state solution. I think that Rivlin is dealing a lot with the unity of the state of Israel, but not as much as Peres used to deal with the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. Right now, I don't think that we can see a future successor in the Knesset. I don't see anyone at his level, with the vision, with what he had in mind, with not only the small details, but also the strategy. I mean, Shimon Peres was so unique in the Israeli politics because he was dealing with the Israeli strategy of what will happen with this country in 30 years, in 40 years, and not dealing with the next 30 minutes or 40 minutes like the other politicians that we meet today in the Israeli Knesset.
There's always been, of course, a lot of remembrance and reflection on the fact that he made such huge efforts towards a two-state solution. Was that always his motivation, though? Was peace always his motivation, or was there a time when he realized that perhaps abandoning the peace process would be far more advantageous for his own political career?
He never, ever abandoned this dream. Since he started this whole peace process in 1993 with the Oslo Agreement till his last days, it's not a cliche. It's really like that. Every time that I had the chance to talk to him, he said, well, there's no other way, there's no other option. And he's right, you know, what's the other option? What's the alternative? There's no alternative, and no one discussing that in the Israeli leadership right now. Shimon Peres was focusing about making peace, not only between Israel and the Palestinians, but between Israel and the Middle East in general, with the Arab countries. You know, I have to tell you a very short story about a visit that I paid in Qatar with Shimon Peres and a group of journalists. The man had meetings, he was 85, 86 at that time. He had meeting all day in Doha, in Qatar, while Israel doesn't have any relationship, any relations, diplomatic relations with Doha, with Qatar. And at the end of the day, at 11 p.m. at night, while all our journalist friends, all of us were completely exhausted, he was sitting over there, offering us a drink and explaining to us his vision for creating peace in the Middle East.
Tireless energy, then. We know now that efforts are being made towards plans for his funeral, and that world leaders, past and present, will be attending that. Do we know yet, though, whether there'll be any Palestinian representative at his funeral?
Right now, we don't know. I'm sure that there will be a Palestinian representative. I don't think, but this is really my first estimations, my first talks to Ramallah this morning. I don't think that we will see President Abbas appearing in his funeral, but I hope to be wrong about that.
Avi, we really appreciate getting your reflections on the man that you, of course, you met and spent time with in your journalistic capacity, Avi Issacharoff. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.